When I think of Habitat, I think about the relationships that we have built over the years, and the way that we have engaged the community and engaged faith communities in new and interesting ways, to come beside families so that they can become homeowners. And I think a lot of people may not know that the homeowner has a mortgage. And so these homes are not free, and they also have to put in 250 hours of equity where they learn home maintenance, budgeting, many things that go into being a good homeowner. And so it's a great partnership to not only help people have a home, but to build equity and to come out of poverty and to have a safe place for their family and for their children. When we talk about relationships, one of the things that I remember so much is that they help the homeowner to become a part of the neighborhoods. They sometimes have started neighborhood associations. And I remember one of the first homes that I was involved in. It was a home that was for handicapped accessible, and it was the first time that they did a handicap accessible home. And we did it for Mr. Rudolph, who was very engaged in the building, and he rode a three-wheel bike around town. And after we built that, we got a report and saw a news story where Mr. Rudolph had stopped an abduction of a child in the neighborhood. He threw his bike against the car and stopped the abduction. So the relationships of becoming a homeowner, being engaged in the community, and actually protecting a young child has been so exciting for me. And when I think about relationships, I think about the House of Abraham. That second was instrumental in beginning. And the relationships that were built around that House of Abraham provided spin-off for many of the interfaith work that's being done in Indianapolis. Many of the people that were engaged in the House of Abraham became engaged in the Umoja Project. They became engaged in the Center for Interfaith Cooperation. So many of the things that we do together began with that relationship where we were trying to build reconciliation between the Christian community and the Jewish community and the Muslim community. And we actually went to Jordan and built a house, and it was the first time that Christians, Jews, and Muslims built a house together and really probably did anything together in Amman, Jordan. Very few things were happening in an interfaith way. And that interfaith network and relationship was sort of reborn after we were done with House of Abraham. The St. Paul's Episcopal Church was going to celebrate one of their church anniversaries, and they asked Habitat what they could do. And we came together and decided to make the House of Abraham an interfaith house. And that event brought in more faith communities to participate in the build than anything else Habitat had done. And in fact, it kind of gave a rebirth to faith communities coming together and working together. Habitat had gotten a lot of support from the corporate world, but had lost some support of local churches. And so our builds have consistently had about 50 faith communities coming together to build a house, and really has had an impact not only in the community but for Habitat themselves of becoming more engaged in faith communities.
So our partnership with Greater Habitat of Indianapolis actually goes back 32 years now, and we have worked to provide $2 million in funding over the course of that time. We've helped build 28 homes, and the amount of investment that we've made through volunteerism as well is really significant at over 1,500 hours.
we've had many different iterations of the interfaith build over the years, and those different iterations Second Pres has been a big part of each time. Many before my time, but what I'm aware of in that interfaith build is I think the first iteration happened in the early 2000s, and then again in 2008, where we were able to partner with local Jewish congregations, Muslim groups, and Christian groups, where we came onto the build site together and were able to build a home. And then with partnership with folks at the Center for Interfaith Cooperation, we're able to travel to Jordan and build a home in Jordan in the Middle East together. And so that happened in 2008, and there have been great interfaith partnerships that have happened between then and now. And then in 2016, we saw a narrative that was not one that we knew to be our community, one that put people on the outside instead of on the inside. And so with leadership from Second Pres, St. Paul Episcopal, and other faith community partners, we were able to come together and build 2 homes with faith groups of all faiths, to say that we are a community that is committed to our neighbors and committed to helping one another, to put God's love into action by picking up a hammer, by wielding a paintbrush. We were able to partner with 2 families, raise the funds for those 2 families, and to build those homes. And in years since, we've been able to continue that process and to continue that spirit of unity, to say that we can be good neighbors and we can put God's love into action by providing homes alongside people who otherwise wouldn't have those opportunities. So that's been our legacy up until this point. Second Pres has been a part of that every step of the way, and we wouldn't be able to do an initiative like that without Second Pres's support and partnership.
Or one of the times that had the greatest impact upon me, and I was grateful for Habitat, is that when 9/11 happened, I was on a Habitat build, and we all quit building at that time. But I remember calling the people together, and we literally sat on a hillside and had prayers and talked about, as things are falling down, as lives are being destroyed, we are here to build up, to build lives, and to build communities. And so Habitat not only builds a house, and at that time, particularly that neighborhood, was not only building houses, but they were rehabbing and improving the housing in that neighborhood. And it was just a pivotal moment for me, that moment, to think about as things were coming down. We are called to build things up, and Habitat provided that real opportunity for us to do that. So I mentioned that Habitat is about relationships and is more than just the building. The founder, Fillmore, said it's a theology of the hammer. So we come together to build, but then it's an opportunity for us to share our lives and to share our faith. So the interfaith build has been really great and an opportunity for people to share their faith. Over the years, we've had interfaith dinners and dialogues where we've brought in many faith communities and leaders to talk about faith and to talk about reconciliation and talk about how we can live together as people. And so that's been really great as far as education and relationship and just people getting to know one another. And out of it became sharing of iftar dinners and sharing of Passover meals. So it has really grown in many levels as far as building our relationships together.